Good afternoon again. You'll have to bear me again for the next 45 minutes. Well, as the anchor rightly mentioned, it's very rarely you see, theme of a panel discussion which is so up close and personal, diary of the modern CFO. I'm gonna, steal a couple of leaves or try to steal a couple of leaves from CFO's diaries, which either you can call it a digital one or the one, made of the paper. But I'm gonna steal a couple of leaves today and try to figure out what is the top of the mind questions, top of the mind concerns, top of the mind agenda, and what keeps our, the CFOs on the dais busy. I've seen also the very engaging discussions in the previous, the panel, and we'll also try to, capture some of the thoughts of, the leaders from the finance here. You already know the finance leaders sitting here, so I'm not going to introduce. Let me directly switch to the question number one. If I have to, as I mentioned, steal one of the leaves from your diary, so what do you think would be the top of the mind question, Kaushal, that will come to you? What will I find if I just steal, one page from your diary?
Being from a retail space, I think there are 2-3 key pointers that we generally keep an eye on. Obviously, retail, we see cash coming every day. And hence, it's important to make sure that you differentiate profits to cash. So that is something that's most important, and we keep a very good eye on that. Obviously, other parameters in terms of your gross margins, your rentals, staff cost, your ROCEs, those are all standard stuff. Important thing is, what I see, the role has changed in terms of what used to be based on static information like balance sheet, P&L, cash flows of last quarter. It is now moving to more real-time information. Be it in terms of how your sales are doing across all geographies, across all the segments that you are present into. How your EOSS sale went by. What kind of gross margins you are getting there. So it's the item sort of remains the same. However, what used to be based on historical information is now moving to more real-time information, be it in terms of P&L, even operational data, customer data, market data, and that sort of helps us to take decisions quicker.
Thank you. Over to you, Chirag. What's written on your diary today?
Yeah, hi. Hi. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you for having me here. It's always great to be part of the ETCFO events. I'm glad to be here. Kushal, so basically, since I belong to the D2C company, for most D2C companies, I think what's the most important thing is the unit economics. It's very vital to track your unit economics because especially, after the funding winter crisis that kind of kicked in, the unit economics have become so important because if you've not cracked your unit economics, your business model is not sustainable. So every time we launch a new product or new category, we kind of focus a lot on the unit economics. Our emphasis has always been, even before the funding winter, we were always kind of keen on tracking the unit economics. And even now, the emphasis is more always on the unit economics because that helps you kind of drive the profitability, which is important along with the growth that you need to kind of factor in.
Okay, thank you. I hear that unit economics for you and also the top KPIs, which Kaushal mentioned. Deepak, you are in a large, diversified Suratwala business group. So what do we find in your diary? What keeps yourself busy?
Good afternoon, everybody. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks ETCFO for inviting me on this. Just like the CFO role has been evolving, the diaries of the CFOs has been evolving very fast, very rapid. Coming from a real estate, as one of my friends said, we keep a deep sticking eye on the cash flows basically, but in addition to this, we keep an eye on the green initiatives taken by our company. Being a real estate, we need to work on it, and technological advancement that we keep on doing for our valued customers.
Thank you. Vimal?
So, my diary will have sales profit, obviously, but the other thing which we have to closely monitor is what is the attendance on the sites, because we are into facility management business where the billing is related to your attendance at sites. So that is the one of the key parameter you will find in my diary, and that we monitor on day-to-day basis.
Thank you. And I know you, Puneet, have a very different role on the floor compared to other finance leaders that we have just heard. You are Chief Business Officer at Gallagher. I'm sure you're meeting a lot of CFOs on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
What are the top of the mind, metrics? I'm sure they don't share the diaries with you so easily because, maybe you will increase your premium based on that.
Absolutely.
So what do you see the top of the mind KPIs in CFO's mind?
So, Pulkit, for us, the topmost and the most, I would say, critical element is risk advisory. In today's environment, we are seeing the risk landscape being very dynamic. Business complexities are increasing every day. The ease of, whether it is ease of doing business or difficulty in doing business. But every day you pick up newspaper, you'll find some or the other, changes that you're seeing on the regulation, data protection, somebody was talking about, cyber, business interruption. So all those exposures are continuously changing. Plus, what we are seeing, that business are expanding. So, while the CFOs and the other operation people are busy in expanding the business, somebody has to, continuously go and talk to them on the risk advisory. So that's the, topmost thing. Every day morning, when we look at it, he says, oh, acha, his client, this is what we need to advise. So that's the changing, and that's top of the mind.
Thank you for sharing that. I'll stay with you, Puneet, and want to understand what's your view when you kind of meet the CFOs as part of your role and responsibility? So, what do CFOs say about the change in their role? I mean, we have been discussing about it since morning that CFOs' roles have evolved. But from the perspective of insurance and risk management, what kind of additional KPIs that you see which CFOs are looking for?
So, while we've been talking about this and we've been seeing that, CFOs are being pulled on each and everything in the organization. It's a very comprehensive and strategic role. Insurance still forms a very low priority item, and be very honest about it. And we have been seeing this, we've been talking a lot because of the, busy schedules, busy environment in the finance world. It doesn't form, a priority item. And that is where, in the KRAs or KPIs also, what we typically see, that one common KRA that I've been witnessing is that insurance cost reduction, and that's where insurance not being a commodity, it requires due attention. It needs to be deliberated at all levels, because CFOs are the, I would say, best people in an organization to understand the business and deliberate about it. If they are able to articulate the problem statement appropriately to people like us, our life becomes very simple because we'll get them cost-effective solutions. And for us, I think the most important factor remains that when you're drafting the contract and when you're looking at the insurance contract, a qualitative analysis approach makes a lot of difference. You're placing, I call this as a colorful piece of paper. When you're doing an insurance contract, hundreds of millions and billions of dollars of assets are parked in that particular contract. So how am I ensuring that it is a qualitative contract, considering the volatile environment? And every day, I'm sure, you're reading the newspapers, you've seen, the insurance environment being more volatile in terms of financial strain. So that is where, we need collaboration, understanding of the businesses, and provide more in-depth, I would say, knowledge to our customers so that they take an informed decision on the insurance. So that's an area which, which we feel is requires due attention. And while we have witnessed that CFOs have started discussing, but because of, too much on their table, on the platter, it becomes very difficult to give due attention. So my humble, suggestion or request would be that CFOs should spend time on this, because this is an important area. Your balance sheet is at risk, so, there should be due attention given to this.
All right, thank you. Let me try to get, one of the CFO's view. Vimal, you're sitting next to him. Do you agree with his statement that, insurance, risk management are not one of the topmost priorities? And if not, what are your top 4 KPIs?
So now over the period, the CFO's role has changed. It is not the corner office role now. Now it has to be front office role. So basically, CFOs are not just looking at the accounts and finance and managing the cash flow. More of a strategic role. Apart from that, yes, risk management is one of the key area which has evolved over the years, and I agree with him that CFOs has to look at all the risk. So earlier it was just a financial risk, now geopolitical risk, your ESG risk, compliance risk, everything is coming under CFO. So that role has changed, and CFO has to very much involved in that. And the other area which CFO is largely involved, earlier the technology part, it was just limited to IT. But now if you see a lot of CFOs are leading the digital transformation or anything, they are talking of AI, ML, and putting the project inside the company to drive it. One more thing which is very, very relevant in today's area is ESG. It was never part of the CFO's role, and it has become the key of area or key KPI for the CFOs to measure that. Lastly, but maybe few of you may have, but I have seen now few CFOs are having the sales target also. I can tell you that I have sales target as a part of my KRA. So, and I do visit clients to understand what are the issues and challenges and how financially, we are able to give the solution to them. So, over the period, the KRA KPI has evolved. It is not just a corner room office where CFO is sitting and doing his work.
Great, that's an interesting comment that you made, and I'm glad that no one is here from my company or my CEO, to kind of, it would be difficult for me to sell, industrial machines for me. So, well, thanks for that view, and, I'm going to collect a lot of feedback, since, you made a very rhetorical remark about, CFOs not prioritizing. So we're going to come back to you, Puneet, again to see how you can solve their problem later, but collect your thoughts meanwhile. Switching gear, we have spoken a lot about KPIs, what keeps you all busy, what are the top of the mind concerns, topics. Tell me, and I'm looking at you now, Chirag. I mean, one of the KPIs that you mentioned or was mentioned on the dais was the growth, sales growth. And you talked about also unit economics. How, when it comes to measuring growth, how do you do that in your organization? And not just measuring it, how do you ensure that it is sustainable? It kind of is, the momentum continues in the long run. It's not a blip.
That's a great question, Pulkit. So, if we happen to talk to any of the D2C founders or management and ask them, what kind of growth you are looking at, so one will get to know the most fascinating growth is the one, where you are able to derive growth on the basis of repeat transactions to the customers. So, it's very easy to grow by spending on marketing activities and probably acquiring new customers for the first time. But if the customers are not repeating, your entire business model is up for a toss. So, repeat cohorts, I think, are one of the most important metric to track. Repeats won't happen just on its own. You'll have to do a lot of things around the business model to kind of ensure that you're getting healthy repeats. So, for instance, a lot of customer engagement activities needs to be carried on. You'll have to kind of ensure that you'll need to ensure that the entire customer experience is good enough for them to kind of put in their loyalty to your brand. In the session before this, a lot of emphasis was made on how the Gen Z customers kind of now are looking at kind of putting in their loyalty to the brand. So it's very important that you kind of work around things which will help you strengthen your repeats. Because what happens with repeats is that it does not only bring down your marketing costs, it also helps you on other key areas. Like for instance, in the D2C business, especially D2C online business, if you have good repeat transactions, what will happen is it will bring down your overall return percentages, your exchange percentages. What happens with return is, when return is initiated, it just not only reverses your revenue, it also kind of hits you in the form of dual logistics cost. The fulfillment cost is up for a toss because you're incurring a packaging material, but it's adding no value to you because there's no inflow in the form of revenue. So all of these things are improved if you will have more and more repeat purchases. So while there are other things that you can look into, like you can regulate your marketing spends, you can kind of control your CAC, but you can also improve on your fulfillment costs. These are all things that you can look into. But I feel one of the most important thing that you need to look into is the repeat cohorts. It kind of helps you increase your LTV, lifetime value of the customer that we say. LTV to CAC ratios kind of improve significantly, and that's one of the important metric I feel is to be tracked and to evaluate a company's financial health.
Thank you. Very valuable, and I fully agree that repeat customers are the best customers because you already know them. And I think I would add a couple of more points to this, if I may. You also talked of, and also in the previous panel, there was reference to the new generation and the changing customer preferences. I think what also becomes pretty important is when you look at the repeat customer sales, you're not taking them for granted and also taking into account their changing preferences. And I would like to give one example from my personal life. And I was a bit surprised because I have grown up to have known, and I don't know, some of you in the room may also have a different view, but I have no hesitation in accepting that for me, pink was meant for girls and blue for the boys. And there was a discussion recently when my son refused to wear a pink color or a non-blue color, and my daughter came out running saying that there is nothing called pink and blue or boys and girls. So I think this especially from the retail business perspective is an extremely important change in mindset. I can tell you now, even I as a parent think twice before I kind of talk about this differentiation of genders basis color. So yeah, repeat customers, but also not taking them for granted. So thanks for touching that topic. Deepak, what's your view? And I on purpose chose your name because from retail business to a diversified business, how do you track growth?
Basically, coming from a real estate, we have different tracking system altogether. Earlier, I was with IT company, and now with the real estate, we have different mechanisms to track our growth. To give a live example, we track the customer-centric, the customer database through some softwares, which help us to get into the categorization as one of the discussions were happening, the repeat customers. We don't have repeat, but we have the quality of customers and the sector-specific customers we have from IT, we have from investor class. So we keep on tracking those mechanisms to have what best we can do for this class of investors in a specific sector and how best we can cater to their requirements. And in this regard, we have started the green initiatives to be for our projects for execution and given a target to our project managers so that more and more Gen Z guys can buy the offices or the commercial spaces in our projects and they can attach to us in a different zone. Coming back to one more important topic, that the CFO's role has been evolving in a different way. They are also made responsible for generating the new revenue streams for the company, which was earlier with part of the CFO, CEO, or possibly a business development manager, but partially it is coming to us also nowadays. So a part of my KRA is also to generate diversified revenue streams for my company.
Great, thanks for sharing that. I see we have 26 minutes left, so we'll have to catch up because I have a lot of questions to ask all of you. Kaushal, we have some references about ESG sustainability already on the panel. Given the increasing focus on ESG matrices, how are you ensuring that you're integrating ESG principles into your finance strategy, as well as bringing a long-term value creation for your company?
Pulkit, as you rightly said, importance of sustainability has grown multifold over last 5 years or so, right? Gone are the days where a business could say, I would want to focus on business, and I don't care if my practices are not sustainable and things like that. As one of the panelists touched upon a point that our current customers are sensitive to and they like business who are sustainable in their approach, right? We at Metro Brands, we deal in footwear. And unfortunately, footwear, as you all know, they don't decompose naturally. Anything that goes into landfills would stay there for decades, if not more, right? Obviously, we can't stop our business, but in FY21, as a group, we thought, what can we do to make sure that our operations are sustainable? At that time, the goal was, can we recycle one pair for every pair that we sell, right? We started that journey in 2021. In that first year, we could recycle 5% of whatever we sell. And these are not, by the way, not footwear that we sold, any footwear that is sold in the world, because you can't possibly get the pair that you sold. Last year we did 49%, and I'm very happy and proud that we are on our way to reach that 100% goal, which we had earlier envisaged to be achieved in 5 to 7 years. So very briefly, what we do here is through our agencies, we collect this footwear before they go into landfills, most probably from scrap dumps, etc., etc. We take out all the elements that could be recycled, be it in terms of plastic, rubber, leather, things like that. Whatever remains which can't be recycled, we send it to cement kilns to be used as a replacement of coal, right? So that was the goal, and as I said, very happy to sort of see where we have reached right now. This apart from obviously other smaller initiatives in terms of using renewable energy, using recyclable plastic, paper, etc. So that's a constant process, and it's very important because customers are looking towards us from that lens, whether you are sustainable or not.
Thank you. Absolutely, this becomes also a differentiated offering and something which customer can also feel proud of while buying your product. Thanks for that insight. Also, Chirag, you are also from retail business. Would be also good to get a little bit color on what your company does, but yeah, in brief. And then if you can throw how you are, throw some light on how are you taking care of the sustainability piece.
Sure. Completely, I'm aligned with what Kaushal mentioned just now. The good part today, is that the customers are now recognizing brands which are associated with sustainability, which are kind of associated with building on sustainable practices. So that is kind of, it underscores the importance of putting the rhetoric into action. And that for me is it's a driving force. So what we have done we've kind of already started working on a couple of areas, both which are contributing to sustainable practices directly and indirectly. To name one, few years back we decided to kind of get rid of the entire plastic element from our warehouse, as well, both at the back end in the warehouse and on the front end customer-facing deliveries as well. So today, and this was driven top-down and was passed on to each and every single member, even at the warehouse. So I'm so glad that we did that, because today, now when I'm talking to any of the warehouse member as well, when they are discussing with the packaging vendors for their packaging solutions, they are very mindful. They will never kind of discuss things, even if they are like slightly cheaper, but they will not talk on things which are not kind of environment friendly. So that has helped us because our approach was such that we kind of involved each and every single member into this and kind of did it holistically. Today, that has helped us achieve like success to a great extent. 90% of our packaging material today is without plastic. All of our packaging materials, which we kind of send the goods through to the customers, are today mostly in paper bags, except for areas where you can't. We have to kind of use plastic, but otherwise you kind of done away with the plastic element. Second thing, what we have done, we feel is that we have kind of built in a Omni platform where today customers are able to kind of shop through our retail stores and pick up the products through online or buy it online, return it through in stores. This, in a way, helps you kind of save a lot on the logistics element as well, and kind of contributes to the environment indirectly. While you may not kind of cannot easily calculate that, but it does happen because someone sitting in Delhi, if is going to return the products directly to the Delhi store, it kind of helps you save a lot on the entire logistics, and also helps you in terms of the environment. So yeah, these are the things I think which are kind of relevant, I feel. And I think as a CFO, it's important to kind of prioritize this investments, though you may see some kind of initial cost escalation, but it's important to prioritize because it only will help you stay relevant in form of the future business landscape.
Sure. Add over here.
Yeah, sure.
Basically, since I have done one research based on some analysis in the past of these various CFO roles, and since morning I have been listening from various CFO. One of the concepts which is getting involved is the customer acquisition cost and the maintenance. What we are observing that it has to be done, and I see that the CFO's role is also evolving over the customer-centric approach, where we are supposed to cater to the cost involved in maintaining them, just like repeat customers, the maintenance, the packaging cost, in our whatever the additional perquisites we need to give to the customers or the facility. It is very important to balance between the revenue and the cost, the acquisition cost of the customers. That we have been seeing since last 4-5 years. I have been seeing that this has become the buzzword for all the promoters also.
Thank you, Deepak, for that addition. And I want to stay with you, Deepak, and kind of switching gears from sustainability to ethical practices and values. So, Deepak, it's not a secret, CFOs are the conscience keeper of the organization, of the board, of the management. While that's a good thing, big responsibility for a CFO, but at the same time, from my perspective, every employee in the company also has equal responsibility of holding the ethical practices, integrity and compliance flag high. How, as a CFO, inculcate those values into the organization, and how do you make sure that your decision making to your processes have those values embedded? If you can just tell me briefly about it.
Yeah, being a leader for a listed companies for a long now, it becomes a core responsibility of the CFO to work on the compliances and do the compliances for various regulatory agencies. So it is an integral part of our profile. But in addition to this, we have done a lot of technological advancement on this front, and keeping the core values of the company, we have aligned it to and percolated to our employees also, so that there is absolutely clear communication, transparency maintained with our employees, so that the last mile employees or last mile working class is attached to us, and they are aligned to our company's vision and mission statement. And whatever is required as far as employee engagement is concerned, the awareness programs, and what are the core values are there, we percolate, we interact with them regularly, and we explain them what are the things like in today's regulatory environment, and they are aligned to it. That is how we are getting aligned to the entire vision statement of our company. Being a real estate, that is more important.
Absolutely. Thank you. Vimal, your incremental thoughts on, the value system of an organization.
So, compliance is one of the key area which every organization has, so it includes ethical practice and compliances. So we have a process. So I'm giving my live example wherein any customer who is not ready to give the compliance rate is not going to onboard on our system. So that start from there. So first point is that it has to be fully compliant rate. Secondly, as a process, we have a check and balances and few technology intervention also we have put in, wherein whenever there is a change in minimum wages or anything, it is the trigger is given to the concerned person that the minimum wages has changed and he has to revise it, and the payment is done on the basis of minimum wages. So every aspect, whenever we prepare any process or we are looking at the process, this aspect is considered. Now, as a part of that, there you may have to invest something on the technology front, so that we factor in our budget and forecast that this much amount we have to keep aside for any such practice we have to build in.
Thanks, Vimal. Very relevant input. My next question is to you, Kaushal. No discussion can be complete about the geopolitical challenges, economic uncertainty, and the VUCA world in which we are living. How are you ensuring your financial resilience when you are faced with any of these situations?
Pulkit, unfortunately, all the factors that you mentioned, today morning we had something coming up. Every now and then, whatever you plan, it might not go the same way. So best thing that we do is, try and do as much, try and keep your scenarios ready. If your plan A doesn't work, or if some problem comes in, do you have your plan B or C in place? Just to make sure that your top line, your profitability is not compromised. Another important point, obviously, try and diversify as much as you can, not only in terms of your revenue streams, your supply chain points, your warehouses, and even geographical places where you have your stores and your place of business. With respect to regulatory uncertainties, it's part and parcel of what we do, unfortunately. We have to make sure that we are agile, and we have agile framework that sort of helps us to take over any new change that come in without any impact on the top line or the bottom line. So that's how we keep it simple, be ready for the change, and have that mindset. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Puneet, now it's your turn. As I told you, I'm going to collect, from my finance fraternity, a lot of tough questions for you. And as you have heard all of them, now tell me how many of these risks you can cover. And why I'm asking you this question, to also shake up the CFO sitting here and also in the room, to bring the risk management on top of the agenda.
So, thanks, Pulkit, for bringing this up. Insurance remains to be oxygen of commerce. And this is, we all know about it. Businesses and insurance run hand in glove. For any starting point, and I will, talk about risk management, for any starting point for any organization, I think risk management remains to be critical. And insurance ideally has to be byproduct of risk management. And where, we miss the bus most of the times, we look at insurance first and then look at the risk management. So it can't operate in silos, you have to marry each other. And once you start marrying each other, the life becomes much simpler, because the way you treat your risk, Kaushal highlighted, resilience and, how we look at it, be ready for it. So if you look at it in a very scientific manner, and for us as an organization, what we typically do, when we talk to the customers also, we say, first let's look at your 10, 12 critical risk that you carry, which can impact your balance sheet. And, how do we treat those risks? Whether it makes economic sense to transfer the risk to the insurance companies, and we have seen umpteen cases. I'll just cite an example. 2 years back, one of the clients, large client, came to us saying, board wants to look at a parametric cover. And I said, fine, we look, we are happy to have dollars hitting our bank accounts. We don't mind. But for any organization, the first step has to be look at the whether it makes economic sense, whether the risk that you are wanting to transfer, will it hit you, or it is just you want to transfer or you pay to the insurance companies. So we were able to evaluate and save dollars for them. We said you retain this risk. Hence, it becomes very important for any organization to look at the risk management practices, prepare a proper, as an hygiene, prepare a proper risk register, and from there, look at how do you want to treat it. It becomes like a Bible. So if you are, aware about your risk that you're carrying on your balance sheet, and these are 4-5 risks that you would like to transfer, there are alternate risk transfer strategies, there are, other treatments which are available. And there are, few business risks. For example, we are talking about economic downturn, or you're talking about financial, geopolitical instability. We are seeing war, continuous war. We saw Russia-Ukraine war. Then there are other also which we every day hear. So there are partial insurance solutions which are available. For example, there is a war risk which you can buy from international market. For economic downturn, you can look at a credit risk. We are seeing that credit risk. The uptake is increasing every day. But it has to be looked, I would say, in toto. You can't look at it in isolation. If you find certain thing is started happening, whether you've looked at the risk gamut completely and then treated it, or you're looking at only as buying as a typical requirement. So our approach would be to look at as a complete gamut of risk and then treat it. Whether retention or transfer or whatever strategy you want to follow. The second most important thing is that there are recognized agencies that we see who every year publish risk reports. For example, Allianz is one of leading global reinsurers. They produce risk barometers, and you will find cyber, business interruption, NatCat India. It is like we call it Bil Mausam Barsat. Any time and every time of the year, you will find every month, kisi bhi area, any location that you go, you will find that NatCat hitting. So how are you treating those risks? When you talk about expansions, are you taking that into account, or you just looking at relying on insurance? So all that becomes very critical. Cyber again, we heard about cyber. Lalit was talking in the morning about cyber, and cyber again. In spite of talking about cyber to almost all corporates, still many of the corporates have still not bought the cover, and it's a matter of concern. You look at the business interruption risk. We talk about supply chain disruption. We talk about pandemics, epidemics. We've witnessed billions of dollars businesses getting impacted during COVID, and it's not just one incident. We've done our study. Since 2003, Pulkit, you'll be surprised, there have been 6 incidents. SARS, swine flu, Ebola, Zika virus, and it's been continuous. And when we go and talk about this to the clients, it becomes history. We have short memories across. So how am I treating? And there are these are real risks which are there. Am I treating it, or I would just want to wait for next to happen? So that becomes very important question. And for CFOs, I think this is very critical.
Got it. No, thanks for throwing your insights into it, and I kind of fully agree with you, and it reaffirms the point that I had raised in the first half of today's discussion, that as we are becoming more data-driven, more digitalized, the cyber risk is something which we cannot ignore. Thanks. But on a lighter note, I saw that 2 watches on your arms. I thought you would probably say that, look, I know when the good time is coming and when the bad one, and probably that would have been the good selling point. But thank you so much for this. As we are coming to the close of our panel discussion, I want to challenge you all once again and tell each one of us sitting here in the room, and let me start with you, Kaushal, and please keep it very brief. What would be one thing that you will advise the finance leaders sitting here, to write in their diary, which would be helpful for them, in next 10 years as Gen next CFO?
I'll keep it short, and maybe try and personify this from a cricketing lens. CFO's role has changed from being a scorekeeper sitting outside the ground, to like a front line batsman, who is responsible to ensure that your team or your company sort of wins. So that is the sort of mindset that we will have to cultivate. It's no longer dependent on historical data. We have to be on the top, try and see as real time as we can, and guide business in terms of what all decision they should be taking, keeping our key pointers in terms of ROCE, cash flow, etc. in mind.
Thank you for the cricket analogy. Over to you, Chirag.
I would say agility and adaptability. So agility has been something which CFOs are expected since old times to have and carry on. Adaptability is now going to be a crucial thing to kind of bring along the table, because the entire digital transformation exercise that we talk about, the entire sustainability practices that we want to build around, will all kind of depend on how adaptive is the CFO of the company. Because if he's adapting things and taking it further to implement, it's going to get implemented. Otherwise, it kind of may act, the CFOs can be a deterrent to adopt such kind of practices.
Thank you. To you, Deepak.
I'll suggest for transformative technology advancement with a risk management.
Thank you. Very short and brief. Thank you.
I'll keep it short. Strategic leader as a business partner.
Thank you so much. And to you, what would be your advice to the CFOs? Then don't tell risk management. The second one.
So I would strongly recommend be better prepared. I think that's the most important thing. Preparation makes a lot of difference in the overall scheme of things. So if we are better prepared, you can handle more challenges.
Well, thank you so much for a very insightful discussion. I'm going to quickly summarize, as I still have a couple of minutes more. So first question was on top of the mind KPIs, and Kaushal said run-of-the-mill KPIs from cash to order intake to sales and profitability. And then Chirag on top highlighted, not forgetting the unit economics. The second question was on how the role has changed in the last a decade, especially for the CFOs. And Vimal's view was, that risks have increased multifold, and right from geopolitical risk to ESG, and also changing customer preferences, and also not to forget compliance risk. And Puneet, of course, highlighted that insurance is currently a low priority for the CFOs, which must change. And also the CFOs should be the one who, they are the best person to articulate the situation of the organization, state of the union, and they must do that and seek help. The third question was on how do you measure growth. We heard, again, distilled wisdom from Deepak and Chirag, respectively, both focusing on repeat customer and related matrices, and focusing on customer experience as well as the changing customer preferences. Thank you for that. And the next one was on sustainability initiatives, and Kaushal and Chirag both highlighted, the business models getting threatened by the ESG itself, and especially in his business, he gave example of, the non-sustainability impact of the products, and how they need to kind of change the entire supply chain and the system to be able to be more, environmentally responsible. On the other hand, of course, Chirag re-emphasized that, to be also recognized as a respected brand, it's important to focus on ESG elements. The fifth question was on the values, the ethical fabric of the organization. Both Vimal and Deepak said that regular communications to the employees and re-emphasizing the importance of this is extremely important. The last question was on financial resilience amid the VUCA world in which we are living. Kaushal said, keep your scenario planning ready, plan B, plan C, plan D, and also have diversity of option and business. While Puneet kind of, highlighted that, CFOs should seek help, not event-specific risk management help, but kind of provide an overarching organizational enterprise-level risk view so that, the experts can kind of come and help the CFOs. Well, thank you so much once again. It was a wonderful discussion, and as CFOs, we are very good in counting. We have 50 seconds to exchange the gifts now. Thank you.